The Mettle Mentality podcast is brought to you in partnership with AM300 and the Phoenix Project. For more information on both, check out am300.com/mettle.
It's time for you to be the you that you know you can be and define your mettle. My name is Preston Ewell, and I'm the host of the Mettle Mentality podcast. I'm a husband, a father, and American soldier. What is mettle? It's your strength of character that you rely on to endure hardship. It's your grit. Together we'll learn from some dedicated, passionate, mettle-minded individuals who define themselves by their grit and their graduation from suffering. Be mettle. Stay mettle.
You're listening to the Mettle Mentality Podcast. Now, here's your host, Preston Ewell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show today. We're back here again with David Salazar. Man, I don't even know how, now that I know you more after the first episode, I feel like anything I say to introduce you just doesn't do justice.
That's
but
funny.
You're resilient, you're so resilient, and your ability to connect with other people and share your message is great. So David, if you're just joining us now, David is an entrepreneur. He spent his whole life struggling with a stutter, and he still has the stutter. But that disability, I guess we call it, is a disability. How is it described?
It's a gift.
His gift of stuttering does not define him. I was trying to say it was a disability, and he's telling me I'm wrong. Like, no, it's a gift. Wow, that is so cool that we get to do this today. So we're just going to jump right back into it. So in the last episode, the conclusion of the last episode, I said that we were going to talk about how to dance in the rain, as your dad said. I'm going to teach you to dance in the storm. I'm going to dance in the rain. And as you said that, I was quite emotionally overcome by that, because I'm like, wow, that was really powerful. So how do we dance in the storm?
That's the part that makes us run and hide.
That does.
or we move forward, and it's a process. And remember, guys, it's a way of thinking. And I'll share a story about one of my sons. Great kid. At a very young age, quite an athlete. Basketball, football. Fun to watch. Kindest man in the world. In football, whatever he'd hit, it'd break. He was a tough guy. And he took a hit to the back of the head. And they figured that he might have had a concussion before that. So it was a double. Left him with some brain damage. Affected his eyesight, speech, and depression. Everything you hear with the NFL players that they go through, it's real.
How old is he now?
He is now 20 years old.
And this happened in high school?
It has happened when he was 14 years old.
Oh,
As he put it, he came in as a stud to a dud. Well known in school. Everybody was his buddy. Everybody wanted to know him. And the moment he got hurt, he lost it all to no friends. What a young age to have to learn. He had to get rid of what I call his basketball shoes and his football shoes, and put on his man shoes at a very young age. He suffers from migraines 3 weeks a month. I mean, it left him in a dark room for years as a young man. Through the depression of when you're violently hit and it causes a lot of brain damage as it's healing, causes depression, anxiety. It just exacerbates everything that you already are. And one day he couldn't take the pain no more. He was in pain. He hadn't had a day of relief for a year and a half. And he tried to take his life. And that was hard. Oh my God. I'm like, it's happening again. And my son, he got through it. And he still suffers from migraines dramatically. It's changed his life. But he's no longer walking through the dark anymore. With help from therapists and one thing that's really neat about the guy is that he's willing to share his story with many people. It's really neat. He's not afraid to share. He almost took his life. He's not afraid to share how he felt when he was in high school. But that storm that he was in was so traumatic to him. He, at such a young age, he wanted to run and hide. It's what he did a lot of. One day, he finally took it all, and he found his way out. And again, these were scary times. Mind you, he didn't see the light of day, or people, for that matter. You know, you talk to him now, and the kid was in hell from the pain, not only physically, mentally, socially. He had no friends. He was lonely and didn't know if this would ever go away. And he tells me one day, he's feeling better, and he tells me, Dad, I want to be a therapist, or I just want to be there to go find other people like me. And he goes, I've been to hell, Dad. And I go, I know you've been. And he goes, I've been to hell. The things I've seen. And he goes, it's scary. He goes, to want to end my life was horrible. But he goes, but Dad, I know the way out. This is a young man. He told me when he was 17, 18 years old. I'm not afraid to go back. I'm like, you don't need to go back. You're okay. You got out. You're good. And he goes, Dad, I'm fine. I need to go back. I got to go get the rest of the people that are there. I know how to get out. He goes, I can't leave them there. And he was no longer afraid of the storm. He knew how to navigate his boat through a storm. And he says it with a smile on his face. He says it with so much self-confidence. Let me go back in. I know I can handle the storm, Dad. Are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, buddy. And he goes, are you going to be okay? That's what I worry about. And I'm like, hey, I know if you're driving that boat, I know you'll get us through whatever storm we're going through. And I'm going to take the time to look around instead. And that young man has come full circle. And he said he is grateful for what he's gone through. He's grateful for everything he's learned. He says, I am so far ahead of the game because I had to lose so much. And it took me a long time to figure out the part that I lost wasn't really that important. And I start to notice how getting rid of all that stuff made me be able to look around and see the world for what it really is instead of what I thought it was. Being in a storm and how to do it is real simple. And I say it's real simple. There's a day you fall to your knees and you stop controlling your environment. The day you stop trying to control your environment is the day you will start to find liberation from your survival techniques. We're human. It's what we do. We survive. It's the way our brains are wired. But when you take the time to put the survival mechanism aside and start to focus on being indifferent with results, being indifferent, how a thing turned out, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be just fine. If I don't get the job, what's worst case? I'll look for another job. My boy said, hey, you know what? I think I want to be a lawyer. What if I really think that's it. That's it. That's the it I want to be. But Dad, what if it's not it? Well, that's the it that will get you to what you're supposed to be then. And being able to really embrace the storms. Anytime, if you're going through a bad storm, you're going through a hard time, stop for a minute. Look around. Take a minute. If you're going through what you consider hell, look around. Take a moment. Learn from it. Learn how to stay calm in it. Because just on the other side of fear is joy. And we're taught so many things that scare us that as we start to grow older, we start to experience things that say, maybe that's not true. You define and you react to things that happen to you based on what you're taught. You have the ability, you have the gift of being able to judge that experience however you want it. It can be joyful. Death used to scare me really bad with family. And believe me, it still does. But I see it different. You know, I tell my boys, hey, the day I die, you got 1 day of crying, and then that's done. And then it's a party after that. I want laughing. I want remembering. That's what I want. And it's up to us to start teaching the new norm of how a person should feel during hard times. So it's our obligation to teach what we've gone through, so others don't have to live the norm. They can live a new norm. When I lose a job, I got it. I'll figure it out. I'll get another job. I lost my house. I know I'm going to have to rent for a little bit, but I got my family. Take the time to embrace moments that are given to you, no matter how scary they are. Try, even if it's for a minute. That is different than the norm. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you'll grow off of it. You will notice, why is it that older people do so much better than people in their 20s to their 50s? Because they've experienced outside the norm than what they were told. Why do young kids do better than all ages? Because they haven't been taught nothing yet. And they experience it for what they is. That's why they're so resilient. We learn so much from kids. Mm-hmm. We could, but I feel we mess them up.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
As a parent, like, you're responsible to make sure your child survives. But I think sometimes we teach them things that are killing them.
We teach them to survive instead of we teach them how to
thrive,
live and thrive, right? But I think personally though, I think what your show's about, your podcast, it excites me because you're not teaching people the pretty picture. You're teaching them how to live in a storm. You're teaching them that. You're teaching them that it's okay. That it's fine. And that you're normal. We all judge ourselves. We put a tile over our head. I'm a stutterer. I'm a loser. I'm a this, I'm a that. Listening to one another, we start finding out we're more alike than we are different. And that we have a lot more people suffering than those who are not. And those who aren't suffering, they're one of two people. They're ones who found the way out. But remember, they were where you were. Or B, there's still people who are lost. And they just give the perception. So take the time to truly, truly understand through a show like this, a podcast like this. Listen and give yourself the opportunity to become indifferent to experiences that happen to you in life. And most importantly, stop surviving and start living. That's your goal. Mm-hmm. That's the intent.
Yeah, I really like that, what you're saying. It's, I was asked, what makes you relevant as the host of your show by someone. I said, I've listened to a couple episodes, but I don't know much about you. Like, why should I care what your opinion is on this? Like, why should I place any value in this? And I've struggled to find a way to say it. And I think I know how to say it today. Is I've been through my own hell. I've been to hell. I know what that looks like for me. It looks different for everyone. I've been through hell. It sucks. Like, it's a miserable place to be. I lived in hell for better part of 35 years. I say 29, we'll 29. And I know how to get out of it. I know that you're not stuck there. It's a choice you make by not taking action, not finding resources that can teach you how to get out. I'm not the only one who knows how to get out of it. I was taught. Someone showed me how to get out of my own hell. And the thing about it is all of our hells are versions of hells are very similar. A lot of times it's exactly the same as other people's. And we feel so alone. We think no one understands me. No one knows what I'm going through. I'm the only one. No one gets this. And that simply is just not true. No one's going to experience exactly what you've been through. No one's going to have your entire life experience. But what we do have is similarities. And it doesn't matter how you got to hell. If you're there, the road out is the same. And that's what my whole goal of the show is, to teach people how to get out of hell. Leave that place. Leave that state of mind, those limitations that you put on yourself. That you're in prison. We put these bars around us and say, this is where I'm at, I'm stuck, it's never going to change. Poor me. And sometimes we want people to validate that for us. We want them to say, you're right, oh my gosh, that sucks. I'm so glad I'm not there. I'm so sorry you're there. Right? We want pity. But pity does nothing for progress. It does not get you out of where you're at. And I think what you're saying, your experience in dancing in the rain. I mean, I'll say this. I always put this: the key to get out of hell is to dance in hell. Learn to dance while you're there. And you're saying that you take these situations and find the good in them, embrace them, enjoy the view. And if it sucks, you look around and say, okay, what can I learn from this situation so that I never end up here again? And I think you seeing your weaknesses as a blessing. No one can put you in hell if you feel that way. No one can send you back there if you accept your struggles and your suffering, your hardship and your weaknesses as a blessing, and you look for how that can be a blessing in your life, how that can be a catalyst to becoming who you truly are meant to be. You never will go to hell. You never have to go back there again.
You know, your podcast, your show, is not going to just help those listeners who they're finding out who they are meant to be, of course, it's still in the works. What you're meant to be is still in the works. And so am I. These are stages. Mm-hmm. And we're never going to be at a point to where, oh, we got here, we're done.
Yeah, it's not a destination.
It's not a destination,
yeah.
It's a stage.
Mm-hmm.
And what's neat is, as I sit here and I listen to you and I talk to you, I've gotten to know you. As I shared, I'm a pretty black and white type of personality. I usually say it off the cuff. Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. But I will tell you this, getting to know you, and I have very sometimes I'm a little bit too maybe a little bit too judgmental right away, categorizing, and maybe that's why I ended up with my own insecurities that I grew up with. But one thing that I found with you is I respect you more now than I did when I first met you, which was not that long ago. And what the respect I have for you is how real you are, how sincere you are, and that how confident. I'm excited because you're evolving. Yeah. You're in a state of you're evolving into something that I'm excited, because you're at this point. It's it's a neat point. It's a point of where I'm starting to see you turn a key and walk out of somewhere you've been for a while. And that's a stage. Some people call it a cell. And when it's pretty bad, they call it hell. And I hope that everybody who listens understands that every stage they're in, there'll be a key to get out. And they hold it. No one else will be in control of it. Be the rock that fell in the river. Whatever falls in your river, keep moving forward, right? Keep, like Bruce Lee used to say, be water. And stop focusing on the people that hold you back. Know that there's only one person that holds you back. That's the person you see in the mirror. Okay? I call it Naked and Afraid. Just like the movie or the show.
Not a sponsor.
Is that we're born naked. We don't have an issue with it. And we start to attach things to ourselves to make us feel more important. Today, my contributions to this world are the only things that matter to me now. Do I have things? Yeah, I have a lot of things. And if you had asked me 20 years ago, they would have fixed everything. But things only numb you. Things only push you back in a cell. Things are just another way to have you batten down your hatches. Now tell me what you do with your things. Hey, you know what? I got a truck. I help people with it. Oh, awesome. What do you do with what you have? Mm-hmm. I could care less what you've done. I could care less how you messed up. But tell me what you're doing with it.
It's your character.
It's your character.
Your character is greater than any accomplishment.
Oh, it's everything.
So
it's everything.
You can have nothing, and you're doing everything with it. There's
Absolutely.
someone who has everything and is doing nothing with it, who has a greater value and contribution to the world.
Absolutely. Even when you look at religious leaders, the religious leaders or religious people who have an influence in people's lives, they're the ones who have no judgments. There's people like Gandhi. A lot of us were not of his same faith, but we respect of who he was. Martin Luther King. Mother Teresa. All these different type of people, different faiths, they preached from one pallet that you're okay, you're perfect. Leave the rest behind. Come with me and let's go help some people. It's that simple. When you don't know how to help yourself anymore, go help somebody else and you'll start learning. Go stop your doubt, stop your depression, and start walking towards helping someone else. That's one of the keys to get you out of a stage. Find someone to help. Find someone to give to is another key. I have this friend. His name's Mike. Good guy. He's done well for himself. He will give you the shirt off his back. But you know what's neat about that guy? Even though he has all the wealth he has, everybody knows, and I say this about him all the time, most people will give you the shirt off their back. If Mike was to lose everything and he didn't have a shirt to give you, he'd go find you one. That's the kind of man he is. Mm-hmm. That is the kind of people who we want to be. It's funny, Mike lost his mom when he was a little boy. And he's gone through his own hell. And he is such. He will do anything to help people. Through his business, I swear he's probably lost tens of thousands of dollars. Just helping people.
Did he lose it? He said he lost tens of thousands of dollars, but did he really lose anything?
He didn't lose anything. It keeps going.
He spent tens of thousands of dollars. He gave tens of thousands of dollars.
And it keeps going.
But if you were to look, I bet if you were to ask him, what did he gain from losing all that money or giving all that money? It is worth more to him than that money.
Oh, hands down. He won't sleep at night. It's who he is. He doesn't have $1,000 to give you because he's broke. He'll go find you $1,000 before he puts it in his pocket. You know, this gift of compassion, this gift, I just see it everywhere. My mother, 90 years old, she's a devout Catholic. But she doesn't preach. She looks at all faiths she respects them all. And she thinks it's neat. Mm-hmm. And I saw this alcoholic guy about my age go to her and fall to his knees and say, "Would you bless me, please?" My mom's no religious leader. He was LDS. But he just said, I went over there. I'm like, "Hey, Brandon, what are you doing, bud?" "I need help, man. I just struggle, and I see your mom, and I guess I just feel close to God. And I want to see if she could just give me a little prayer." That opened my eyes to how much power an individual has, not just from a religious perspective, but even motivational. Guys, you have the ability to make another person's life different. You could be going through your own hell and still be pulling someone out of hell at the same time. You have the ability to change someone's world. You know, one hello can be the difference of someone saying, "I quit." Taking the time to just tell someone, "Gosh, you look awesome." it has a lot of value to an individual. Stop overlooking the small things. They mean everything. Stop thinking like you and start thinking what others might be feeling.
It doesn't matter.
You got it. It doesn't. The solution is one thing. Compassion is a gift that allows you to start sharing a part of you. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to be in some perfect position in your life. You know what it feels like. Go share it. It could be the simplest thing. It could be a hug. It could be a handshake. It could just be, do you need help? How are you? You look great. Take the time to do the small things. They're the ones that make the difference in people's lives. And watch how that gift of giving will build you spiritually.
Do you believe that in order for us to become the best versions of ourselves, that we are unable to do that without compassion? Do you think compassion is key to becoming the best version of ourselves?
Yes, it is. Because compassion is where you put yourself, you're no longer primary. See, a lot of what keeps us in our position of where we're at is we're in survival. That means just me. How about now? It's no longer just me. It's about Tim. Now that's compassion. That's putting the needs of others in front of your own. That is one of the biggest keys to get you past your own doubt, your own depression, your own conflict within yourself about who you are, is when you start to put someone else in front of you. Now, you can't just care about others and not yourself. But what it starts doing, it starts building you in a way that you'll start noticing that the struggles that you go through are now becoming content of how to teach. Mm-hmm. And I think from what my father taught me, that letter he sent me, don't forget where you came from. If you forget where you came from, you cannot teach. If you cannot teach, you cannot learn. Right? So those things are really important. So compassion is a key element to helping others. And in turn, just like the river, you'll start noticing that a lot of your issues start to subside, and you can take a better control of understanding how to deal with your issues. Because you have to deal with them. This is just a way to help strengthen your self-concept.
Well, it reminds me of a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it said what gives a river its power is not its volume. It's its persistence in time. So if you think like the Grand Canyon, how was that carved? By a river. Mm-hmm. For millions of years. It didn't happen all at once. What happened was that water was persistent in going downhill. And over time, it removed the barrier that was preventing it from going where it wanted to go. And it created this, something we perceive as to be incredibly beautiful and mystifying to us.
Exactly.
And if we can do that in ourselves and be persistent and not try to go around what we call the barrier of this rock that falls in the river, right?
Right.
But change our direction, I guess you'd say. Because if that barrier gets in the way, maybe that's not where you're supposed to be going at that time. And over time, that barrier will be removed, just like the Grand Canyon carved deep into
the
desert.
And to understand to that point is that you went to one place and it didn't work out, well, that point is going to lead you to the point where you're supposed to go. But you could not have got to that point without it. When things don't work out, the direction, a point that doesn't work out is just being led in the direction you're supposed to be going. Mm-hmm. But you're not ready for it yet. You're not ready. I actually heard a guy talk about having something before it's ready is like having a baby born before it's due. Mm. It's not ready. Mm-hmm. And it's so true that things that are given to you in a time that you're ready. So stop being in a hurry. My mom always makes this joke. You want to make God laugh? Plan. And and it's funny. It's true. It's reality. Mm-hmm. Stop working so hard in trying to attain this goal that when you look at it, it's survival based. Start living. We have, this ain't a dress rehearsal. We got one shot. Enjoy it. Go for the ride. God loves you. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. He made you. He knows you make mistakes.
No, it's more than okay. It's required.
You got it. It's just fine. You know, in church, I'll go to church. My 90-year-old mom, this lady's laughing. She comes up to me after church. She goes, your mom scolded you at church. I'm like, I know. And she goes, why does she do that? Because I can't sit in one place. And she goes, I noticed that. She goes, your boys were giggling. And I go, I know, they've corrected me too. But I tell them, hey, you know what? God made me this way. He knows it. and it's true. You know what, guys? Stop trying to be perfect. Don't.
Yeah. It's not about perfection. It's about the process.
You got it. It's not about perfection. Stop doing it. Mm-hmm. Embrace it. Embrace the failures. Embrace the process. Embrace everything not being perfect.
It reminds me of something we say in the Army. And it's embrace the suck.
There you go.
Because sometimes the process sucks.
Oh, it does.
But until you embrace it, you're not going to get there.
Right. So get the word suck out of your vocabulary, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, I mean, there's times where I'll just look up and I'm like, serious? This is what you're giving me? This is what you're giving? And I joke around with it now. I try to joke around with it. I ask God for only one thing. And I learned this from my wife. She's a very level-headed, compassionate, sweet, understanding, kind woman. And I notice her prayers. She doesn't do these elaborate prayers. She only asks for one thing.
What's that?
Strength. Nothing more.
What is that strength? If you're another word, like how would you describe it? I think it's maybe perseverance.
Yeah.
Maybe it's resilience.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends. Strength is kind of a broad term. And maybe she's saying that because she doesn't know exactly what strength she needs and she's leaving it up
to God. She's saying, hey, give me the strength to make the right decisions. Give me the strength to handle what comes my way. Give me the strength to react to it in a way that I'm living. Give my family the strength for them to deal with what they need to deal with today and have faith in you. Give them the strength to believe in themselves. And she goes, it's one prayer and it's simple. It's just strength. With strength, we accomplish all the things we need to do to live on this earth. Without strength, we survive. Mm-hmm. With strength, we live. And it's, if you're religious, spiritual, whatever you are, when you look at surviving, even if you look at a lion Everyone says it survives. No, it doesn't. It really lives. It's okay with what it does.
Yeah,
has no-
it accepts who it is.
Yeah, it has no guilt.
It doesn't know anything different.
It has nothing different. It has no guilt. This is what I do.
There's no shame in a lion. Lions don't have shame.
No shame.
So,
Shame.
so be a lion.
Be a lion. Don't be, you know what, shame and guilt, those are tough things to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Shame and guilt is a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Shame and guilt has you hold on to dear life when the storm's coming. Shame and guilt are what destroys your self-concept. Let it go. There's no shame and there is no guilt. All there is one thing. Learn from what you do. Strive to be a better person. That's what you need. Guilt is just destroying you. It doesn't help you. It doesn't even help the person you hurt. You want to help the person you learn. You learn. Your integrity is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And as we sit there and we start talking about integrity, we start looking at shame and guilt. It is the one thing in this world where we are different than the animals because we do have a conscience between right and wrong. And that conscience is the one that helps us to determine what to do in certain circumstances. But after everything is done, guilt is what keeps us there. And guilt doesn't allow us to progress forward.
Mm-hmm.
Guilt is something that we have to one day ask for forgiveness and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the elements in self-confidence that doesn't allow us to be who we were meant to actually be.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
And so I this is just my personal thoughts is I tell people, forgive yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Move on.
Be a lion.
Be a lion. Be a lion. You know what?
That's my new mantra.
Be a lion.
So my daughter, we've always, my oldest daughter's 9, and we say she's a lion. And she has a picture of a lion up on the wall. And she loves lions. She has since she was little. And we say she's a lion because nothing stops her. It might slow her down, but it doesn't stop her.
Right.
When things happen to her, she is incredibly resilient and incredibly strong-willed and wants to understand things. But a lot of times when we don't understand a situation, we just give up.
I do.
And this little girl does not do that. And so there was a while, we say, be a lion when she goes to school. And I think I'm going to start bringing that, but I'm going to start telling myself that. I'm going to start telling you, if you're listening to this, be a damn lion, okay? A lion doesn't quit.
Yeah.
A lion doesn't regret decisions that it made. A lion does not look at a situation and say, this sucks, poor me. A lion goes out and kills something and eats it and does lion stuff.
Right.
Right? Everything runs from a lion because they know the lion is not going to quit.
Right.
It's going to eat. And maybe you'll get away from the lion. And I'm not saying go out there and kill people, but what I am saying is be a lion in achieving your goals.
There you go.
Be the lion to be the best version of yourself.
Don't be guilty. Don't feel guilty. No. Don't feel embarrassed to love somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be embarrassed to show affection to somebody. Don't be embarrassed because that's who you are as a human.
Mm-hmm.
We show love.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to show it. Hug your kids. Hug your spouse. Hug your friend. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's what they are, right? Be it.
Oh.
But I think, you know what? I think more importantly, it's like I said, you know, your kids become a version of you. You know, your little girl, you know, she's predisposed with this strength in her. It looks like her daddy had it all the time.
I had it all the time. I just didn't know it.
Yeah. But you've been teaching her she has it.
Oh, I think she
knows
was born
it.
with it and knew. I was born with it and didn't know. That's how I would describe it.
She knows it, and now you're teaching her. So what if you don't know it? but you can learn.
But everyone has that.
Everyone
the
has it.
ability to be like
Everyone has it. And I'll tell you, one of the toughest people who I've met, it was a close friend of mine. He was on his mission, and he needed to come back. He needed to come back from his mission. He was having this issue with his heart. His family wanted to come back. And he said, I ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. He goes, I'm doing God's work. Now, I'm not LDS, okay? I grew up a Catholic boy. I'm a Catholic Mexican kid that this buddy of mine is on a mission, won't come back, has a heart issue, and he's in bad shape. And they're telling him, come back. Everyone's telling him to go. He said, I got a job to do. You know, this guy I've always related to as Rambo. And from what I understand, this is the guy who actually produces this show. This guy is one of the toughest SOBs I know. And because what most people are afraid of, he laughs at it. You can go and serve missions, be in a war, be in any bad situation that you're in. Always comes down to one thing: self-preservation to survive. This guy's been doing it since he's been a little boy. He's not scared of it. In fact, he says, you'll wait until I'm done. He's been one of my biggest teachers. He doesn't know he's teaching because, again, he's not talking about it. He's living it. He's acting on it. And when I heard he wasn't going to come back, they even asked me to write him a letter because he was being such a boneheaded about it, that after his cousin shared with me why he wasn't, I was like, I can't change this. I see what he's doing. This is incredible. So when people say, hey, LeBron took a 50-foot shot and he won the game, won the NBA, or Reggie Jackson, 1977 World Series, hit a home run to win the game. There is no way it even comes close to compare this guy saying, I'll die to do what I believe is right, to do good for others. This guy was literally willing to put his health and life on the line to bring compassion and love to other people. To me, that's the goal. That is it.
To live a life dedicated.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really inspired me in the show, and we have about to wrap up here. One of the things that really inspired me before I committed to the show, and I didn't know how to answer it. It was this isn't the exact quote, but it was inspired by David Goggins. If you know who David Goggins is, he's a pretty incredible individual. And one of these days he's going to be on the show. And I've actually talked to him, his team, and we're working on getting that happen. But he, something about, so I think it was someone's thoughts on him, or anyways, inspired by him. And what I ended up writing down was, if you want to find peace, you'll have to go to war with yourself. Quitting is a choice. Taking the path of least resistance is a choice. But you can never lie to yourself. You always know when you aren't being the person you know you can be. And there's only one thing that's getting in between you and the you that you know you can be. It's your mindset. And then, this is what I wrote down. What would dedicating yourself to God's judgment of yourself look like? And I had no idea how to answer that. And it's been through this conversation that we've had today that I'm able to shape a bit of an answer. And it looks like what I'm trying to do right now. Live a life with purpose and serving other people.
Well, you're getting it done.
And I hope so. I hope that this is a reflection of God's judgment of myself. And I can tell from your story and your experience that you're doing the same thing. You're striving to live a life that represents the way God judges you. And I find it very admirable. And so as we are here about to wrap up, I want to ask you one final question. If you were to die on your way home from this interview, and in these next 30 seconds, you could say anything you wanted to the world and everybody would understand it, what would you say?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be angry. Ask yourself every day, are you living or are you surviving? Help other people. You will grow more from that than buying things. Love your family. Love your kids. Share everything with your kids, the good and the bad. Share the bad. Let them go learn to walk new paths, different paths. They don't have to relearn them again. Stop trying to save be content and be proud of who you are and where you've been. And be compassionate. Give someone a hug. Give them a handshake. Tell them you love them. And get used to using the word love. Doesn't matter if it's your buddy, your neighbor, whoever it is.
It's great advice. Really powerful message, Jay. And that too. Yeah. Wow. I feel as I've been to church for the past few hours, sitting here talking with you, and it's been wonderful. Took me to school, and I'm grateful for the lessons that you've learned, that you've shared with us. I feel enlightened. I feel inspired. I feel motivated and dedicated even more than I was to becoming the version of myself that God intended me to be, the best version of myself. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, brother. That was fun. Loved it.
It's been fun.
Loved it, brother. That was awesome.
Hey guys, be sure to follow the Mettle Mentality Podcast on social media. And as always, if you find value in the show, please leave a review and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. But more importantly, share this podcast with someone you know who would benefit from the messages from the guests on each episode. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @Mettle Mentality.